Hello everyone. Well, today I'm really excited to show you my cross stitch finish, and yay, I've got a finish, and that happens so rarely, as we know, that when we actually do get a finish it's super exciting. This is Aurora Cabin by Dimensions, and I can't even remember when I started this pattern. I would have to say probably coming up to 2 years ago now, and it's been on and off that I've been working on it, and this week I finally reached the end. So it's all been finished, even with the back stitch and everything. It's absolutely completely done. So I'm really excited to say that it's ready now. So what did I find good and bad about this particular project? Well, I think, as I've mentioned in previous videos, that this Dimensions kit comes with a lot of changing strand colours, and especially up on these trees here, there is a lot of different thicknesses using half stitches as well as full crosses, and the sky can use up to 6 strands, which does scare quite a few people, but once you get used to it, you know you're on your way, and it's okay. It hasn't been the most difficult one I've ever stitched, but it has been fiddly in that there's a lot of colour changes as well, especially like it's very easy to get lost around this tree section up here. And then of course I thought that the back stitch was going to be quite simple, and I was wrong. So what happened with the back stitch? Well, basically up here seemed simple enough. There was a few little branches, and I mean, if you don't do the exact same as it says in the chart, it doesn't really matter. They're just kind of branches, as long as you don't go too crazy. And there's a few more down here. What I did find a little bit awkward was all these around these windows and tiny little lines, and trying to keep track of those. And there's also backstitch around a few individual stitches just here. There is something called couching, which is a technique that you are supposed to use on these rocks, and I think it's basically just to pin them into a more rounded shape. It's kind of just sort of pinning them back a little bit, so you get this kind of rounded shape, which hasn't all been exactly successful in every single rock that I've done, but I'm still happy with it. I think it looks fine. So this one is going to go down in one of my moderately difficult cross stitch charts to do, and I have to say I would not do this one again because of the fact that it's been you know, so many different stitches, so many different strands, so many different techniques. It does take a little bit of concentration, and if you want something that's a bit less focused, then this one isn't it. But look at the end result. I mean, how can you complain about this beautiful picture? It's just absolutely stunning. And I think to do it once, to actually challenge yourself to do it once and complete it is I think a success, because it's quite difficult to get through the whole thing. And I've really enjoyed making this piece. I'm really happy that it's done, and I'm happy that I can now sit back and get it framed and just stare at it and forget about all the difficult moments and just appreciate it for the artistry that it is, because it really is a lovely picture. And I just absolutely love the reflection on the lake. And I think one of my favourite parts too is that little river, that little bridge on the right hand side. I didn't expect that to come out so sweetly, and I think the back stitch really does it justice. The illuminations, the reflections on the trees, you know, it's the little details, and that's why this one I think is so fiddly to do, is because you have to add a lot of detail, and the more details that you add, the more impressive the result. But yeah, the harder it is to do. I did run out of some of this blending filament. I just like near the very end down the bottom, so I just thought, oh, you know, stuff it, doesn't matter. I'm not going to go to the trouble of trying to find that blending filament. What it does is it just adds a tiny bit of sparkle, but most of the picture has that. So there's a couple of little lines down here that don't have sparkle because I ran out of it. But you know, if you don't mention that to anyone, no one's even going to realise that, except you, of course, now that I've told you. But most people who come round and will see my picture on the wall won't even realise. So that's my Aurora cabin, done and dusted. What do you think? Do you like it? Have you done this cross stitch piece, or are you thinking about doing this cross stitch design? Have you done one similar or even more difficult than this one? I can't imagine there being a more difficult one, but usually there is one that's more difficult. I am glad I've actually finished it though. It's always nice to get to the end of something because journeys can be long, and sometimes you do think that you're never going to reach the end. But inevitably we do at some point if we just keep plugging through our projects. So I'm going to actually store this one away now in a folder that I have, and until I get the opportune moment where I can actually get it framed. And I will be carrying on with my other stitching projects in the meantime. So let me know what you think, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.